What's going on, everyone? Austin John Place here, and today I'm going to be going over all 162 Pokemon that are transferable and usable in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that are not in the Paldea Dex. Is it clickbait? Is it not clickbait? I don't know. So there are 162 Pokemon, including their various forms and their various regional differences and everything else. And then there are 110 different species of Pokemon with only regional variants included, not form variants included. And of that, there are 75 unique species that are not in the default Paldea Dex. Now, I've gone over a significant amount of information, and I've come up with an actual definitive list of this. And the argument if it's clickbait or not for me to say 162 really depends on your own personal preference and where your prejudices lie. For example, Enamorus, is its terrain form versus regular form? Two different Pokemon, two different forms, do they count? Well, if they count, then how come the 20 different patterns of Vivillon? Do they count? All it is a different pattern. It doesn't change the aspect of the game, but what about the many different forms of Arceus? What about the many caps of Pikachu? I do want to mention that all of this information came from a compilation of the actual code of the game, and then also a data mine that was done for all of the sprites, the brand new sprites that were made for the boxes in game. So all of this information has both code and the visuals to support it. Future Austin, throw the sprite of the brand new Pikachu hat, well, the old hat, the Alola hat, but put up the new sprite right here. Doesn't that look a lot nicer? It was made just for this game. Let's keep going. First of all, we have the Charizard line, which we already have confirmation that the Thursday after the worldwide launch of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we are going to be having the 7-star raids of Dragon Terastallized Charizard. And it's going to be level 100, and it's going to be difficult to take down unless you got some friends. Moving on, we have all of the Cap Pikachus confirmed to be transferable from home. Now, when I say transferable, Charizard's confirmed to be transferable from home. He's not in the base game. He's not in the Paldea Dex, but we do have this event presenting him to us right now before Pokemon Home updates. We have Alolan Raichu coming back. Now, there's a weird thing going on in regard to regional variants. If there is a base form that's a regional variant that evolves into the same region's evolution, for example, Hisuian Growlithe evolves to Hisuian Arcanine, that Hisuian Growlithe can evolve. But since base Pikachu, only when present in Alola, evolves to Alolan Raichu, that evolution method is not supported in this game. So, Alolan Raichu is able to be transferred from home. It may appear in raids, so on and so forth going forward like that. And you could bring him from home and put him in Scarlet and Violet once home supports it. But if you breed that Raichu, it's a Pikachu that will always be a regular Cantonian Raichu. Got it? Cool. We have Alolan Meowth and Alolan Persian. Oh, there we go. There's a perfect example. If you have an Alolan Persian and you breed it down, I think there's a required item to maintain its form. This is a mechanic from Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Don't know if that's coming back or not. We're gonna have to wait and see. But as it sits right now, both Alolan Meowth and Alolan Persian, I don't know why that says steel. That shouldn't be steel. If I come to my reference table and I change that to that, did that fix it? Yep, sure did. Cool. That might come up later. I'm probably gonna ignore it going forward. But as I was saying, if you can have Alolan Meowth, you can evolve it to Alolan Persian. The evolution is supported in the game's code. And Alolan Persian, assuming there's an item to maintain its regional variant when it breeds, then that is going to be maintaining Alolan Meowth. Continuing on, there is Galarian Meowth that is supported in the game and also obtainable in-game at launch. Go to class. A little hint for you. There's classes in the game. Go to class. And also thusly Berserker. I try to make these family oriented here. Diglett and Dugtrio, we have the Alolan versions confirmed. Growlithe and Arcanine, we have the Hisuian versions. Slowpoke, Slowbro, and Slowking, we have the Isle of Armor, Crown Tundra, Hisuian variants. Grimer and Muck's Alolan forms, Voltorb and Electrode's Hisuian forms. We have Cantonian Tauros supported in-game. New Tauros, I'm not going to talk about that. This isn't a spoiler video, but the Cantonian version of Tauros is supported in the game's code and sprites. Moving on, we have both the Cantonian birds and the Galarian regional variants of the Cantonian birds coded into the game. Oh, that's old. Mew and Mewtwo are transferable, making our way to the second generation. You're gonna see this a lot, but this is what I'm talking about. Hisuian Typhlosion, you cannot evolve Jotonian Quilava into Hisuian Typhlosion. It cannot be done. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, when Quilava hit 36, it evolved to Typhlosion. So that evolution method is level 36 while in Hisui. You are not in Hisui, it can't be done. The evolution method is not even programmed in this game. So, Quilava will always evolve to Jotonian Typhlosion when playing Scarlet and Violet, as it stands right now. Wooper and Quagsire, we've already seen that there's a new regional variant of Wooper. However, at this time, we don't know if regular Wooper is obtainable. It was in that one trailer for that one split cutscene while making a sandwich. We don't know if he's in the game, but he is coded to be in the game with sprites, and he can evolve to Quagsire via regular method level up. Quillfish is supported in game as well as Overquill, including the method in which Hisuian Quillfish evolved into Overquill, that very weird way. That is programmed in the game. I don't remember if it involves a stronger agile style. That criteria of the evolution was stripped away, so now it's just doing that specific move, since there's no agile or strong style. Sneasel that I spelled horribly wrong and Sneasler are both supported in the game. Hisuian Sneasel I'm talking about. Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza are all returning through transfer or maybe raids, as well as the Lake Spirits, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Both its default form and Giratina's always origin form in the newly introduced Origin Dialga and Origin Palkia from Pokemon Legends Arceus are supported in-game with sprites and code. The item in which Dialga and Palkia change forms with has changed its name. Similar to how it worked, I think the town was Stow Inside in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which if you had a Pokemon that needed an item to evolve or change forms, you talk to that one weird little oddity stand. There's a very similar mechanic returning in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that when this Pokemon is in your party going to a specific area, you are going to be able to get these items. Heatran's back, Cresselia is returning, as well as, get this, Arceus is returning. A data mine has shown that the legendary plate is returning. That's the item that you used on Arceus for him to be able to use Judgment, and it's always super effective. And all 17 forms of Arceus are programmed in-game with a brand new sprite. Are all 17 plates and the legendary plate in the game? Not sure yet, but the game supports all of these Pokemon. It was at this point that I'm like, am I just padding my numbers? That's the reason I had that argument at the beginning. Moving on, Oshawott, Dewott, Samurott. The same thing I talked about for Hisuian Typhlosion, that also applies to Hisuian Samurott, and going forward, Hisuian Decidueye as well. That Dewott will always become regular Samurott, it will not become Hisuian Samurott. Petalil will always evolve to regular Lilligant. Hisuian Lilligant can be transferred, it cannot be evolved into Lilligant. Basculin was always a weird one. Is this a form? Is it the white stripe form? Is it a Hisuian variant? It turns out that it's kind of both at the same time. So if you have a white striped Basculin, it will always evolve into Basculegion. And it looks like, yes, we are having the gender differences, and there is a parameter that's defined of how it evolves exactly. So there you go. Interestingly enough, right now, it says that Basculin 2, which is White Stripe Basculin's internal code, evolves into species egg. So the species of Basculegion is not currently evolvable. The criteria is listed there, but the link for it to become Basculegion is not yet programmed in the game, which can very easily be done in, you know, the 1.1 update for Pokemon Home next year, or whenever that happens, or however that functions. That can be done. In addition, in order for you to get the Pokeportal news update, you have to be on the newest version of the game. If they do decide to introduce it into raids, then you are going to be having to do a software update that patches that piece of code. Zora and Zoroark, the Hisuian forms are programmed in the game, breedable, evolvable. We did see Hisuian Zorora in a trailer before. It's unclear exactly how it's obtainable at this time, if it is or isn't. It might be in the base game by default. He might be hiding as another Pokemon, and just no one has found it. We don't know. Tornadus, Thundurus, Landorus, both their terrain form and their regular form are supported in-game. Meloetta is programmed in-game, as well as its Pirouette form. That's not boxable. Chespin, Quilladin, and Chestnut, all the Gen 6 starters. But ready? Boom! Battle Bond Greninja is programmed to be in-game. But Battle Bond does not do what it used to do. Ash Greninja is no longer in the game. Battle Bond has a new definition of what the ability does. So you have Battle Bond Greninja, but you don't have Ash Greninja. Makes sense. Ash just became the world champion or something in the anime. I don't follow it. Vivillon is weird because in-game there is only the fancy pattern, which the fancy pattern I believe was only obtainable for a limited time or an event in Pokemon X and Y. The other ones, except for the Pokeball pattern, were all based off of where you were in the world. So far, it looks like the only obtainable one in-game is going to be the Meadow pattern, but the rest of them are supported. Whether you're going to be transferring them from Pokemon Home or from Pokemon Go into Home, or if there's going to be events with the different patterns, we don't know yet. So there you go. There's the Vivillons. All of them are programmed with sprites in-game. Here's a weird one. Carbink's in the game. Also Deoncé, but Carbink. It's a real weird one for them to throw in there. So I'm kind of thinking maybe they're doing something regarding Carbink and Deoncé in the DLC, and they're already putting these Pokemon programmed in now going forward. We don't know yet, but Carbink and Deoncé is confirmed. That's a weird thing, right? Hisuian Avalugg, same thing. I didn't put the note there, but if you evolve Bergmite into Avalugg, it will always be regular Bergmite, it won't be Hisuian. Hoopa, also its Unbound form is supported, similar method of obtaining in-game item as we've covered in the past. Volcanion is supported in-game. Also, fun fact, what's the water type move that causes a burn? Scald. Scald is now the signature move of Volcanion, and I think it's been stripped away as a TM and no one else learns it, and only Volcanion. So maybe Volcanion has some presence in the DLC as well? We're gonna have to wait and see. Rowlet, Dartrix, Decidueye, Hisuian Decidueye, that is the only Sun and Moon starters in the game. I know VGC players are gonna be happy because, hey, guess what? There's no Incineroar for once. Or hate it, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about the Incineroar. Magearna and Magearna's Pokeball form are both supported in-game. The Pokeball form is what you get for completing the national decks in Pokemon Home. I believe that's still a thing. All of the Pokemon Sword and Shield starters are in the game, as well as Zacian and Zamazenta, as well as their Sword form and their Shield form, so apparently those items are in the game. Eternatus, Cubfu. Let's talk about Urshifu. There is a very strange thing about the sprite of Urshifu. The single strike and the double strike forms have very subtle but distinct hair patterns. Future Austin, just black out the screen, throw up single strike on the left and rapid strike style, that's it, on the right, and throw up the new one. And now let's just zoom into the hair. That hair isn't the same. I don't know if that's a new Urshifu or if they've sort of converged the two forms. Who knows? It's unclear at this time what that Urshifu is, but it's neither of those, that's for sure. Zarude and Dada Zarude is programmed, as well as Regieleki, Regidrago, none of the other Regis. Calyrex and its Horsies are programmed in the game, as well as with rider support. So most likely the Reigns of Unity are going to be an item that you're going to be able to get as well. And coming to the bottom of the list, we have Weirdeer, Cleaver, Ursaluna, and Enamorus, and Enamorus's terrain form. There you go. 162 Pokemon, fully supported in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Maybe. These are all coded. They have sprites. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot of supported Pokemon. This is a much larger list than we had for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Let me know if your favorite Pokemon is returning in this extremely long list of Pokemon that I've included. Leave it down below. For more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet coverage, be sure to subscribe, stay tuned, turn on notifications for updates. Until next time, Austin John out.
Man, they see me shining like I got the charm. Stay strapped, got that jet ball in my palm. Fell from the sky, guess I'm the chosen one. And if you need to know how, check out Austin John. Champion flow, flow, yeah. I got that champion flow, flow.